in Alba.
Yes.
You've invited me over, which is really, really lovely. Tell me a little bit about who you are, just so I'll...
So my name is Veronica and I belong to Tartuflanghe family. I'm part of the family. I've been part for 20 years already.
Okay.
Our company is based a few steps from Alba. We're very close to the center of the city, and we produce truffle product and we select the best of the truffle of our region. So this is what we do. The company was founded in 1975, and my father-in-law, my mother-in-law, they were opening at the very beginning just a restaurant.
Wow.
So Da Beppe was really the center of the truffle commerce at that time. They were preparing a very traditional truffle recipe, and the first tourists were coming to discover the truffle in our region.
I mean, I've noticed since I've been working with you and visiting Alba in the last 10, 15 years, how much busier it's become during the Truffle Festival. I remember when I first came to visit you maybe 10, 11 years ago, we'd go to the town hall and it would be a couple of euros to go in, and there'd be a few people in there. And it'd be, I mean, it would be busy, but it wasn't.
It's becoming a huge business.
Now
Truffle
it's huge, isn't it?
It's expanding everywhere in the world. So anytime a new, so of course Europe is our center because there's a culture also.
Yeah.
It's not only Italy, it's France, it's also Spain, and in general Europe is our main business, we can say. But anytime a new country is opening to Western culture or cuisine, they look for truffles.
Of course they do. Yeah, I remember being in Las Vegas. It must have been, again, probably 10, 11 years ago. And I met with a chef called Julian Serrano, who's a Spanish chef who looks after the Bellagio Picasso restaurant. And we were talking about truffle, and he said, I can't get good white truffle. And I said, why are you not contacting Tartuflanghe? They can ship it.
At that time it was also more difficult.
It was very difficult. Yeah, he said just importing truffle into the US was hard because he wanted the white truffle for his restaurant during that period, October to December, and for him, especially over the Christmas and New Year period.
Yes.
And he couldn't find good white truffle. But this is one of the most important questions. You know that we, as a company, sell to yachts and super yacht chefs. And sometimes I'll give them the price of white truffle and they'll go, whoa, that's high. Tell me, what is the difference between the white truffle you get here in Alba and the white truffle you'd find further south, which I think comes into season around September, doesn't it?
Yes, but so the availability is the same. From Piemonte to south of Italy, we have the white Alba Truffle, Tuber magnatum pico, so the botanic variety is really the same. Yeah. In starting probably a little bit earlier in south of Italy because of the weather. But what makes the difference is the territory, is the terroir, is always doing the difference.
Same for wine, same for olive oil.
So it's a combination of weather, soil composition, sun and rain at the right time, which makes the magic. We can say it's exactly as planting like Nebbiolo wines in here or in California. So the wine is the same. Yeah. The wine is very different because of the terroir. Yeah. And here in Piemonte especially, we can say that the white truffle finds the best condition for its growth. And the composition of what we call truffle bouquet, it's like 120 different molecules that makes the truffle flavor. Okay. Here in Piemonte is the most complex, we can say. Yeah. So it's not only the gas flavor, which is a natural gas flavor. White truffle is so flavorful because it is a gas. So the molecule is volatile, and that's why it's so smelly. But then beside the gas molecule, which is one part of the truffle flavor, then we have the sweetness of the hazelnut, of the honey. Yeah. We have the garlic also taste into the truffle flavor. Here in Piemonte, we have a very complex truffle bouquet, which makes our truffle the best. Yeah.
I mean, I noticed this morning when I woke up and I looked out of the window of the hotel. I was up high. And I looked out.
See the fog?
And well, it was absolutely amazing. I mean, the view this morning, and I'll put a picture up of it or a video, it was incredible. I walked out to have breakfast and they said, do you want to sit outside for breakfast? I was like, that's the only place I want to sit. Yeah. However cold it would be, I don't care. But what I noticed was when you look down across Alba in this region, this is in a bowl.
Yes.
Now
yes.
this is almost like a microclimate of its own.
It is.
And it wasn't until this morning, looking down upon that from above, seeing all the hills coming in from both sides, and it turns into this bowl area,
exactly.
that I realised.
And did you see the fog?
I could see the fog sitting there. So you've got this blanket of warmth underneath. And I literally just went, that's why the Alba White Truffle is the best in the world.
Yes.
There can't be anywhere else that has that land.
It's very special.
Yeah, very
so
special.
So the fog, humidity, now it's sunny
and now the sunshine,
Perfect.
So the top layer's drying a little bit.
Exactly.
It's almost like somebody created this bowl for white truffle.
Exactly.
I mean, and the Barolo Mountains as well.
And cannot be anywhere else.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying the other truffles are bad. They're different in terms of flavors, in terms of truffle bouquet.
Yeah.
They are simply different because there's a different terroir.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
we are lucky enough to be in the right place.
Yeah. I mean, it's incredible. I mean, I just looked down and all of a sudden it made sense. I've always wondered, why would the Alba White Truffle be different? Why is it probably more expensive? Why is it harder to get quality? And sometimes when I email your company, you'll come back to me and say, Damian, the white truffle's not that good right now. We haven't had the right rainfall and the moisture. And it just all of a sudden clicked in my head. And I think anybody who comes to Alba needs probably to drive in over the mountains, down over the Barolo Mountain area, and just stop and look down, and it all makes sense. It's an amazing area. And I think it's the same for certain areas in the world. If you go to Bordeaux for the wine, they have those slopes that drain the water away gradually. It's just such an amazing...
And if you see our landscape now, of course, the wine economy is very important. So if you go into the Barolo area, it's vineyards mainly everywhere. The only parts that they cannot cultivate are the very top of the hill, what we call picchi.
Yeah.
I bricchi of the hills, and down the hills where there is probably a little river, and it's the humidity is too important for the truffle, for the wine cultivation. So those parts are left. So in a territory where Barolo area, especially in Barbaresco area, you will find only vineyards. Then there are a few. So woodlands left, and this is what we are trying to do. So we are trying to also to buy those lands, because usually they are abandoned. Which means, because in the past the woodlands were very important, because you could eat your house, and so the wood was like a value.
Okay.
Today nobody cares, because
nobody cares about anything.
We don't need that any longer. And what happened? That probably those woodlands belongs to 20 different cousins. They don't live here. They even know that they
don't even know they own it.
They own the woodlands, and so we look for the property, and then we try to buy them. Yeah. Because then we can start a very important activity on the woodland, which is, first of all, clean the woodlands. Yeah. It's very important, because the abandoned woodlands, it's full of it's too thick. Yeah. There's whatever inside, so we need to also put a distance between one tree and the other tree. Yeah. Because the sun is very important. It has to do its job, which is so the light has to come into the ground. Yeah. And make the truffle grow somehow. Of course. So we need to clean them. We need to also take out all the trees which are not They do like a competition with the truffle growing by leaving some substances into the soil. I'm thinking about the walnuts, cherry trees. They're not good, so we need to take them out. Oh wow! And then we can plant the good trees like oak trees, willows, poplar, linden, and hazelnut also. And so in this way we can really have a very good job on the forests. During the year we also have we work on the soil in order to make it softer. Okay. And that's why we can have a very round, perfect shaped truffle in our private woodlands. We can also take out stones. makes usually a very weird shape of
Yeah,
a truffle,
yeah.
or a very compact soil. The truffle doesn't have the opportunity to become round, and it's flat.
Yeah.
This has nothing to do with the quality.
Yeah,
So it's also, the flat truffle is also good, but nobody wants.
Yeah, of course. Nobody ever. I mean, when I get chefs ask what they want, a golf ball sized truffle.
Exactly. In our mind, the truffle is golf ball size.
Yeah.
But I can show you.
Could you bring one in? Because what I'd like you to do is just to explain to me what a good truffle should be.
So what you see here is
this.
part of the harvest of today. It hasn't been selected yet, but we have already brushed it because so we don't wash it.
Right.
But we wanted to take out.
So when did these arrive? This morning?
This morning.
Wow.
So they have been collected yesterday night.
Look at the size of this truffle.
This is beautiful.
But you want that to be round, ideally, don't you?
Yeah.
Wow, look at the size
So you can
of that.
see in our bunch of truffles, this could be 1.5 kilo, more or less. The round shape are like 2 pieces or maybe 3 in 2 kilo, 1.5 kilo.
So would you say that something like this would sell for a higher price?
Well, this is what people has in his mind.
In their mind.
So they want truffle to be round because like a golf ball, but nature gives us different shapes. Depending on the soil, depending on the territory, we can have more flat. This is coming from probably a woodland where we have a very hard soil. This is perfect. This is a very nice shape.
So one thing I've noticed is the weight difference in one truffle to another is huge.
Yes.
You could have the same size truffle, but I would have thought the one with the water content
probably
is less.
The heavier is closer to a river when it gets
so it's more water. Would it mean that the flavour is not as strong if it's heavy?
Sometimes you can,
not necessarily.
When it's heavy, it's fresh. Usually when the truffle is too light, it's too dry. So it can be very beginning of the season when we have very high temperature still, or it can be that the truffle is old.
Yeah,
so we can by weighing the truffle in your hand, you can have
feel
an idea.
And do you think if a chef is receiving a truffle from any company, if it's light, he should always be thinking maybe this is
you should consider the season time because if it's 25 degrees outside, it cannot be. So it has to be light because. Usually at the very beginning of the season, the truffle is lighter.
Less rain, less humidity, so it's going to be less.
But then when we are in December, if it's light, it means that it's old.
You're in trouble.
It's old.
So I noticed that I mean, look, at the moment, the truffle price this week is what, would you say, for an Alba White truffle? You're talking...
So we are between 3,500 to 5,000 euro per kilo, depending on the size.
Depending on the size of the truffle.
Yes.
Okay, so something like this, you're looking at 5,000 euros a kilo.
Exactly.
Because that is...
It's
huge.
rare, huge, it's very special.
Yeah.
Yes.
So when a chef is... I mean, I've noticed in the south of France where I am, a few years ago, I think I was talking to you about some pricing for some truffle. I bought some, I think it was around 2,800 euros a kilo, but that was a few years ago. There was a company in the south of France invoicing restaurants, and I saw the invoice from a restaurant they showed me, 1,600 euros for a white truffle, and it said on the invoice, Alba.
Oh, yeah.
I know that's probably not true.
That's the problem of not having like a real denomination of origin as the wines have. We are struggling.
You don't have that here?
At the moment, no. And my husband especially is really struggling for this kind of, because truffle is coming from different regions.
Yeah.
And it has to be like put in value for the region it comes from.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Here in Alba we have very few quantities, but an excellent quality.
Yeah.
And so this truffle has to be more expensive than the other truffles.
Yeah.
But also the Tuscany truffle, the Molise truffle, they have a value. And they can be also sold for their specific features and the specific territory. And this will not create the confusion where everybody is selling Alba White Truffle.
Yeah.
No matter where it comes from. Why? Because Alba Truffle, it's becoming a common denomination for the white truffle, and this is what we don't want to have, because it's not fair.
I agree with you. People say to me, can I have some white truffle? my first question is, from which region?
Exactly.
Okay?
Exactly.
And most chefs go, what do you mean?
Because
is it not from
if
Alba?
every single region would really work on its specific features.
Yeah, then it can sell based on those features.
Exactly.
And also, it's creating an environment where people know what they're paying for. If you're paying, well, not now maybe, but 1,600 euros for a white truffle, I know it's not from Alba, 100%.
Not even probably from Italy.
It's probably not even from Italy. Where would it come from? Where else do they grow it?
So
Romania?
East Europe in general. So
Eastern European.
Bulgaria, Romania, Moldavia, and
even
then we go Istria, and then
Serbia
down.
has a big black truffle market, doesn't it? But do they also have white truffle as well?
They
or
do
not?
have
yeah.
also.
Okay.
But you can find now white truffle in Greece.
Okay.
You can find white truffle in Iran.
Really?
This is the new frontiers of the white truffles. Probably probably before in the past they never look.
They never looked.
Truffle.
But I mean, I noticed when I was here last year when we had a look, you have a lot of soil that comes in with them and you brush it off.
Yes.
And that soil, it's got spores in it.
It can give you also some indication of the origin, but of course it's difficult. But we can say from the soil we see around if it's coming from our region or not, because the composition of the soil, the color of the soil,
the color of the soil.
Can
be
very different.
And I think those spores from that soil you can actually put back into the ground, can't you?
This is what we do, for
example. And put that around your oak trees, and hopefully the next year those spores will turn into.
And this is what we can do only in our private property.
Yes.
So that's why we own 280 hectares of woodlands.
Okay, that's a lot.
50 hectares are now Tartufanghe, truffle woodlands, that are recognized by Piemonte region, so they give you the authorization to call it Tartufanghe. And then step by step we will clean also the other woodlands in order to have more. But in our private woodlands, all the tiny little small pieces that you cannot use or truffles that are over mature, where we have some insects inside or some worms, we can put them back to the truffle woodlands by doing some injections into the roots. And this gives more opportunity for a truffle to grow in this place. In
the area,
For example, all the truffle water that we, after washing the truffles or after cleaning with the brush for the white, for the black we wash them. Okay. Because we need to use them in our kitchen and
But they're harder on the outside. They have a skin, don't they, which the white doesn't have.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So we can use also a sort of washing machine.
Yeah, I'm with you.
All this water, it's very important because we can bring it back to the woodlands.
You can pour it in and it's got spores. So this is...
Yes, the dirty water with the soil, but with billions of spores which are still alive.
So if I take this to my garden and plant it next to one of my little trees, I'm going to get truffle next year?
This not, because you will need to have also the right composition of the soil, the right weather condition, but the spores of course helps. The spores can be alive for years.
Yeah.
Truffle spores. Yeah. Also in some periods where we have a drought, so it's very dry, it's very hot temperature. The truffle spores they don't die. Okay. They simply
survive.
Survive, waiting for,
dormant.
Better for better condition. And so this gives us some hope, which means, of course, the quantities reduces in years where we have this kind of temperature.
This is, I mean, look, whenever anybody asks me where I get my truffle products from, I always say your company, Tartuflanghe. For me, it's the best, without question. It's not even in debate, but I'm biased because I sell your product. But my clients love your product. I've never had a client ever say to me, "Oh, I didn't like that product you sent me." Everybody loves it. It's the best of the best. There is a lot of information out there which is incorrect about truffles, and that's another thing I want to discuss with you. There's, I go into certain stores, I'm not going to mention them, big companies in France, and they may be global, and they have what I would call really low grade truffle oil, for example, or truffle product. And this is something I'm trying to explain to people. Just because it says truffle oil on it does not mean it's the same as your truffle oil, which is in the 50 ml beautiful jar with a 17% white truffle.
Yes.
It's not the same product. It's the same as a strawberry that's grown in Holland in the summer compared to a strawberry that I get delivered to my warehouse in the morning that's on an organic farm in the south of France. They're different products. It may say strawberry on my invoice, but the two are not comparable.
Of course.
And your product is not comparable to something you'd buy in a major cash and carry, for example.
Yes, but first of all, so we come from the restaurant business.
Yeah.
So this is our background, we're chef's background. So
well, it's perfect.
all recipes were really born into the restaurants that we owned from the 60s to the beginning of the 80s.
Yeah.
My father-in-law is a chef,
Yeah.
and so all recipes come from his knowledge.
Yeah.
Then one thing is to cook for a restaurant, and another thing is to transform the product in order to have a long shelf life.
Manufacturing is the hardest thing you can do.
But starting from a good background, you can select also very good raw materials for the truffle oil. First of all, you need to have a good extra virgin olive oil.
Of course, yeah. And I see in
truffle,
stores it's not olive oil.
Truffle oil can be done with canola oil,
rapeseed
oil,
the list goes on.
Whatever olive oil, or an Italian extra virgin olive oil coming from, for example, from the one we use is from Liguria, because we like the fact that it's mild, fruity, not too strong.
Yeah, so you don't want it to be full of grassy notes and not too bitter, because it's going to take away from the white truffle flavour, for example.
Especially the acidity has to be low.
Yeah.
And so the Ligurian oil is perfect in this case. Then we put the truffle inside, and this is also something that is not very common, because you can find truffle oil that are only aromatized with some truffle flavor. What we have developed is the technology of the freeze drying process.
This is something we solved this year, and in the summer the chefs love it. Love it.
All those, you see, these very light slices are also put into the truffle. In truffle oil, and you can put it one in your mouth.
So this here is difficult for us to show there, but this is a freeze-dried white truffle.
Exactly.
So
you put in your mouth, you wait a few minutes, because it has to be rehydrated, because given humidity and also heat from your mouth, then you can get all the flavor that when you open the jar, it's not really, and then it's long lasting, so it rebuilds with the humidity that we have taken out all the characteristic of the truffle. This specific technology, the freeze drying process was developed by NASA back in the 60s for the mission of the astronauts.
That's amazing.
So the food is freeze dried, the food that they have in the missions. So what we discover is that the freeze drying process is so we take out all moisture without cooking the product,
which takes flavor out.
So it's not dried in the oven. And then we can keep the organoleptic features of the fresh product. So we started with the truffle because we need it in order for our manufacturing, in order to put it into the truffle oil. So there's no moisture, and there's no way that this truffle will give this kind of moisture that you will see in the bottle, like a little fog during the month.
Yeah, and that's basically because it's been cooked, so it's leaking.
Exactly.
It's leaking into the liquid.
And then eventually, if there's too much water inside the truffle slices, they will also get some malt during
So there's two ways to dry something. One is, like you said, with either very low heat over a long period of time, which is normal dehydrator that most chefs would have in a...
And this is what they do in the
most chefs would use that in a restaurant. But you're using what was designed by NASA as a way to keep flavor in a product without losing the flavor, drying it but without using the flavor. That NASA, I had this conversation with somebody where they said the space program is a complete waste of time. And I said, you wouldn't believe what they've developed, which is in everyday life.
Especially 50 years ago, what they developed is now used
in everyday.
The first step of the introduction in the society was for the pharma. If you think about the syrup in powder, this is freeze-dried.
Yeah.
Because it keeps organoleptic features, so properties and values of the product. but it can be also preserved for years. And this is also opening to countries where they don't have the opportunity to put medicines in the fridge, for example.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Then we have been, in our small world, the first company to introduce the freeze-drying process into the gourmet products.
And I saw your machine.
Yeah.
I've seen it a few times when I've come down. I'm quite amazed at what you do with the machine. I mean, you've obviously not just said, let's freeze dry the truffle. You've actually started doing other things. One of the products which I loved was your freeze-dried mozzarella.
Yes, and this was...
For me, that is unbelievable. I mean, unbelievable product.
This was one of our first tests.
Yeah.
It's a nice product because it's a whole mozzarella that we cut in slices, and then you can shape the mozzarella as you will do with a Parmigiano Reggiano cheese.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
And so the freeze drying process for our world of chefs changes the texture of the product, because we can make it into powder, we can keep it all, like for example for the capers from Pantelleria.
Yeah.
So we select the big capers and then we freeze dry them whole.
Have you ever freeze dried a truffle whole?
Yes.
Does it work?
It works, but
does it just
what
go?
happens?
Does it?
No, because the freeze drying process keep the shape.
The shape.
Also the strawberries that we
tried those as well,
cooperate also with the last missions of the European Space Agency, because the headquarters are in Cologne in Germany.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of companies here in Torino working building the hardware of the machines.
Okay.
And so for the space missions, and so we cooperate with them, because the astronaut needed some snacks during the mission. So we prepare for Samantha Cristoforetti, for example, some strawberries whole.
Yeah.
And she was showing also during some mini video and clip the food for the astronaut. So snacks like strawberries.
Yeah. I saw the strawberries here before. It's unbelievable. I mean,
so it keeps the shape.
Yeah, it's a very different product from other dried.
Of course, it's impossible to use. So then it will crumble.
Yeah.
When also that's why we make the slices before we freeze dry the product. Otherwise, if you put in the freeze dryer this truffle, then it will be like you will get
very brittle.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's difficult to do anything with it.
Exactly. Eventually, you make it into powder.
So one thing I've noticed, especially with summer truffle, which, I mean, it's a market. There's a market for summer truffle, of course. But I've noticed that I see a lot of truffles where there's bits cut off them. So why if a chef receives truffles and it's got a sliced part of it?
But this is something that is used mainly in France.
Yeah.
Because it comes from the winter truffle tradition.
Yeah.
When you want to see as the black truffle, not the white, but the black truffle as a very hard peel. If you want to see inside the degree of maturity of the product, ripeness of the product, and if it's good, if it doesn't contain any worms or insect, you need to take out a portion of the peel and see inside. We do that also, because by taking out a small portion of the peel, you see inside
what the
color,
like.
so the degree of ripeness, and you see if there's nothing inside.
Yeah, okay, that's interesting.
So this has to be done, actually.
Okay, because I always thought it was done when the truffles had maybe something bad on it, so they'd cut it off.
Well, this is another story. Yes.
There's two sides to every story, isn't there?
So a little portion allow you to see inside. If it's cut in half, it means that the other half was bad.
Does that mean you shouldn't eat the whole truffle?
Excuse me?
Does that mean you shouldn't eat the truffle? If it's been cut in half because it was bad, should you not eat that?
Well, this is a second degree of selection.
Okay, so it's
because if you take out the bad part and then the rest is safe, you can use it. But it will be considered as a second selection.
Second grade, so lower in cost. So with your truffle, the white truffle, you grade them here and you sell them accordingly.
Exactly.
How do you choose the truffle? Are you choosing a smaller truffle for freeze drying?
So for the freeze drying, we need to use the top of the top.
Oh, really?
So when it's the peak of the season, usually middle of November, this is the time when where also if it's even if it's a poor season in terms of quantity, By middle of November, we will receive more quantity. So it's the peak of the season. In those 2-3 weeks, we buy as much as we can. In terms of whatever we can find on the market, which is good enough for our
How
production.
does that work? You sit here in the morning and you're like, right, and you wait for the door to open and the farmers come in and they say, here's my truffles.
You start, it depends on the season. when truffles are very few, we open our doors, but nobody will come in to offer the truffles. Truffle hunters needs to be found. So we have relationships that last for 30, 35, 40 years with these people. But then when there's just a few truffles, they stay at home. So we need to go and visit them.
Is that because their time isn't worth the time it takes to find because there's lower quantity?
Exactly.
So they just go, I'm not going to bother. I'll go when it's busy, when it's good.
Exactly. So we need to look for them, and so we know them, and
Why don't you have your own truffle hunters?
Well, it's not possible. Those people are retired people between 60 and 95 years old.
Right.
It's a job, it's a hobby for them, it's not a real job, so you cannot hire a retired people.
But could you not
put
an advert out, say, looking for people to train as truffle hunters, and then they go out and
Well, we want to
do you need a license to do that?
So for truffle hunting, yes.
Okay.
But in terms of, so we have 300 people, truffle hunters, that work with us.
Yeah.
There's a special relationship, which means, first of all, trust and confidence.
Yeah.
Because we know that whatever they find, they keep it for us.
Yeah.
And they bring us, or we go and visit them in their houses. And we commit also to buy everything, which means special truffles, nice truffles.
Yeah, and the bad one, and the lower grade.
So small, medium, or small, or broken truffles.
But there's a market for all of those, isn't there?
Exactly, and especially for our production, if it's good, in terms of quality, it has to be perfect, also the broken truffle. But then we can use it in our production. So they know that we need truffle every day, whatever they can find. Because eventually, for the white truffle, most of them are sold as fresh. Yeah. They come in the morning, by 12 it's all sold out and shipped. But then also for the black truffles, we can collect them, and then we use in our production.
In production as well. So do you think going forward that whatever quantity of white truffle you can find, you would be able to sell? There is a shortage of white truffle, is that right?
Yes. New markets are opening, and the truffle quantity are always the same, but if compared to 30 years ago, we have half of the production.
So generally, how many tons of Alba white truffle would be found every year?
Well, depending on the season, but we can say that we work generally between 10 to 15 tons of truffles. Yeah. And then for the white truffle, it really depends.
On the season,
yeah,
on the year.
On the season, yeah. But in general, for black and white. For the white, it really depends. We started this year with very, very low quantity. So I had orders every year.
And you couldn't fulfill them.
And then I try to keep everybody happy.
Yeah.
Which means if one customer needs half a kilo, let's start with 300 grams. And then as soon as I get it, I can.
When do you think you'll get denomination?
Well, it's a long process, but it's not impossible, because some people that they want to keep this confusion on the market.
Yeah, of course they do.
They say it's not possible because it's not a cultivated product. Yeah. It's not. So somehow it's not true, because with this kind of practice that we have on our woodlands, this is agriculture. Yeah. So, because there's an intervention of us on the nature. We somehow. We control nature and also the development process of the truffle. We give some more opportunity, so we enhance somehow the truffle growing. Second, the truffle is an agricultural product. Yeah. So it's categorized now as an agricultural product. It was already this in France and Spain and Europe in general. In Italy, it became only a few years ago an agricultural product. So it belongs to the agriculture. And then also because for the porcini mushroom, for example, some years ago, they so had the opportunity to have an IGP, Indicazione Geografica Protetta, PGI.
A PDO, I mean, every country's got the different initials, isn't it?
Certification sul porcino di Borgotaro.
Oh,
which
really?
is a specific region where, even though it's a white product, they can get this certification. We can do the same with the white truffle.
So now that's been opened.
From Alba.
That door has been opened.
The process has been done. It's possible. If we want, it's possible.
Do you want it?
Of course.
And if you manage to achieve that in the next few years, do you think that will increase the price of Alba white truffle?
Not really, but we can really work on traceability. This is what we are trying to do on our truffle woodlands. Actually, I'm not my best selection is the certified Alba Truffle.
Yeah.
The certification for the moment comes from us.
From you, yeah.
Because there's no way to have a different traceability. But on our truffle woodlands, the truffle we harvest from that specific place. Now we have 5 specific truffle wood Tartufanghe here around Piobesi. We can put like a label with a QR code that shows you exactly where it comes, where was harvested. So
I mean, that's something.
There's a traceability that we are trying to give.
Yeah, I mean, that's something I think is great.
But of course, we will need a third-party authority that gives us the PGI or EGP.
The legal ability to do that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This would add more value in.
I mean, with my clients particularly, some of the yachts, sometimes they don't want to pay the price. But I think the ones that want the best, they want Alba white truffle. I've had people say to me, well, I can get Alba white, I can get Alba truffle in September down in Naples. And of course, I know that's not true. That doesn't mean you can't sometimes find a few white truffle if there's been some rain. But it's coming from a different region, and I have an issue with that because people are selling all white truffle as Alba white truffle because that's where it comes from. That's what people think, and there's not enough education in the market and information that explains to people there's different regions of Italy, first of all, and then other countries that have white truffle. I've seen a white truffle from Romania, and I'm not criticizing Romania's truffle hunters or industry at all. It's different. Yes. It's not the same.
But then the thing is not, so you don't need to compare. So one special truffle because I can find also in Eastern Europe beautiful truffle.
Yeah.
So 1 or 2, I mean, in terms of average quantities, you can then tell the difference. Because of course in Istria or
well, you could get a really bad truffle here and a really good one from Romania, and you'd say, well, which one's which? It's
average
difficult.
quantity available on the market that can tell you really the quality and the difference between one place or another.
So when you go to the market on a Saturday, the truffle market, and there's lots of farmers in there, hunters in there, and they've got their truffles, it looks amazing. I noticed a panel of judges who are sitting sort of up high, reigning over everybody,
from the city of Alba.
Just like the Count at the Castillo did many years ago back in the 1700s, looking down, and they sit up high, and I love it.
This is also the way they can see the situation.
They can watch what's going on.
Yes, because usually you need to show them before they open the doors to the public the truffles you have. And
how do they grade it though?
By quality, so smell, touch, visual and smell.
So this truffle, for example, I take to him. How is he going to grade that when I say to him, I found this in the forest?
So first of all, it's a heavy truffle, so it's fresh. There's no particular damages. There's no part that are rotten or there's no holes from insects, and the smell, it's fantastic. So this would pass the jury without
straight
any
away.
problem.
I mean, I can tell that truffle is heavy.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, when you pick up a summer truffle, it's just, there's nothing to it. And when you cut inside, it's white, it's grey.
Yes.
It's got this really dryness to it, which has no flavour. And that's a problem, I think, in the summer. It's such a shame the white truffle's not available in the summer season.
I know. because of your business, I understand.
Well, because of my business, but I have chefs every week in June and July and August ask me for white truffle.
I know.
And I have to say to them, there is no white truffle now.
It's the freeze-dried truffle available.
So we sell that now, and it's been a good product this year. But is there anywhere in the world you can buy winter white truffle when it's summertime?
Australia.
Like Australia, we get winter white, winter black truffle. We never get white truffle.
White truffle, it's not possible to find.
Only in European.
So Europe, I tell you.
Iran, maybe.
So Mediterranean, and then Iran.
Northern Hemisphere.
And that's it.
Yeah, I've never. And you
There's no way to find white truffle outside these places.
Yeah.
For the black winter truffle, for example, Australia did a great job.
We bring it in. We have amazing one, and it's beautiful when you cut it or you slice it. It's black inside.
They started
Beautiful.
from a very scientific approach, and this is what we like, and this is also what we are trying to do here, because here truffle is tradition. So all information we always got coming from experience from truffle hunters, but now we are cooperating with university, especially the Botanic University and the agronomic universities, where we can. So working on the same spot, this is the thing. So if you own your truffle woodlands, that you will make some tests, and you can also collect data always in the same places, which makes these data to become like a scientific. Yeah,
of course. Yeah, I mean, I know your land is completely organic. There's no fertilizer or anything.
And especially you do the test on the same spot, and then you can see from
the history of that
exactly.
land. Yeah.
So working in a more scientific way, we can discover more about why the truffle grows here, but in the same woodlands, only a few trees give truffles.
Yeah, why?
They are the same condition, no? Because they're planted the tree in the same condition, but
it's the same as why a mushroom grows in a particular spot. I've got a small little garden, and every year, as soon as it rains in September, October, I get these mushrooms that grow. And they're random. They never really grow in the exact same spot. It's always random. And I always think to myself, why there and not there? Why is this year, is it here, not here? Because last year it was here.
We need to consider for the truffles, which is a mushroom that grows underground, the root systems of the trees. They develop for meters. Yeah. So the truffle is not to be found exactly under the tree, but can be found also 50 meters from the trees if the tree has a long history. And it's very fascinating, But
so for my type of clientele, or in fact anybody who's buying white truffle or ordering it, I mean, they can order from you online, can't they, and have it delivered all over Europe. When they receive a truffle from anywhere, if you're a cook or a chef or a professional chef, what would you say the most important thing is to see what the weight is like, first of all? Yes. To see if it's got damage to it and make sure it's in a good condition.
Exactly.
And then
the
smell. And if those three things all really good, then you think, that's a great truffle.
Exactly.
Okay.
And then for the smell, you know that every single truffle is different. Yeah. So you cannot even find here in this
the same smell.
The same smell, because they're coming from different trees. They're coming from different places in the truffle woodlands. So it's very. Truffle is unique.
It is really unique.
So sometimes I laugh when they say that, but last week they were more intense. It's possible. It's possible. But actually, from one truffle to another, there's a difference.
Yeah, I mean, this truffle here is really intense.
Yeah.
This particular one, isn't it strange how you get a truffle like this? The truffle like this hasn't got as much smell. It's just,
and also the size has nothing to do with the flavor.
Yeah.
Because it can be also
a small one can be really intense, and even a big one can be really intense.
Exactly.
Wow.
It really depends.
Okay, great. It's amazing. Why don't we go and have a little look at the process that you go through? I think if we take the camera through there and we have a little chat and you can show me, that would be fantastic.
I will show you the way we do. We lock the door when we prepare the truffles. So quality today is fantastic. We don't have that much, and it's a pity because I would need to more
just record a little bit with this as well. There we go.
To ship today, we are shipping to Hong Kong.
Wow, look at the size of these truffles.
Yeah, LA. Then we are shipping to Germany, and some in Italy also for some restaurants. This is usually what we select as we call it tondello. So the tiny 10 to 20 gram size, which is perfect for the sale, like into the market or into the gourmet stores where the family come and they want to have like a truffle for 2-3 people.
Yeah.
This is called the tondello as a selection. Then today we don't really have, we only have extra quality actually. I would consider...
You only have the best quality today?
Yeah, not extra quality, this one, because it's a little bit damaged and there's some color which I don't really like. It's natural because it's probably a leaf that was attached to the truffles. Also this one we'll consider like
top.
What we call first choice. So maybe for the color, maybe for the shape, this is a broken truffle. And then, but you see that today we've been
amazing,
lucky, because this is more than 200. It's 250.
255 grams for one truffle. Wow.
This is probably it's heavier.
Do you think that's So that's 315. Wow.
Yes, those are the biggest from today. Yeah, those two.
Huge, aren't they?
Half a kilo in 2 pieces. Yeah. And now I'm selecting the medium size because we want them also to...
So do you do this yourself?
Yeah, every day. Because I know exactly what our customers need. Because probably one restaurant, they want only the medium size. There are some restaurants, they only want the extra big sizes, depending on the market. So I know exactly what they want.
Yeah.
And
do you not find that sort of a little bit draining? Who does this if you're away? If you say you're sick for 2 days?
We have our team. It's made up of 5 people.
Yeah.
I try to be here during when I was sick, for example, during COVID.
Okay. Yeah. Did you have COVID?
Yes, we did. I was selecting by video call.
Oh, really? And so, you obviously your offices aren't open on the weekend, are they? But you're still buying truffle on the weekend.
Actually, no. We buy. So we are not open to the public.
Ah, okay. But you're still here
because we are here to buy and select.
And that's Saturday and Sunday.
Exactly.
So
because most of our buying is on the weekend. Because then on Monday we need to have the truffle
shipment
shipped.
out. Yeah. So you would buy Saturdays and Sundays and then ship them out on Monday.
Yes.
You do local deliveries, no? Restaurants?
Of course, Trattoria also.
Got to be a huge business.
Simple trattoria or Michelin star restaurant.
Yeah.
We usually, usually we supply Michelin star restaurants because we are able to select according to the size.
Yeah.
I have restaurants asking 50 gram size, half a kilo.
Yeah.
Well,
I saw, we were out for dinner yesterday, day before, we saw in a restaurant, they had a covered truffle.
Yes.
It was something like this, very, very large truffle. They weren't using it though. When they grated over the meal, they didn't take from the big truffle. So for me, it seemed like...
This is a nice truffle, but it's also difficult to handle.
Yeah.
When you want to slice it, you have to cut it in half, or you have to have a big slicer, because also the slices you can do, it's like... So
you don't want to... It's like, yeah.
Usually,
I mean, if you look at this here...
This size is perfect.
Yeah, if you look at that, when you get to the middle of it, that slice is huge.
Exactly. So, or
that's
eventually
that's a 30, 40 euro slice. You know, probably
is.
more.
It is.
Yeah, you're right. I think if you're gonna,
the medium
this is a great size. Yeah,
it's what usually.
Yeah.
It's the most requested one, but you see that we have a few ones in more or less.
So when you ship to Hong Kong, will they want large truffles?
Usually, yes.
Is that basically because of the culture? Bigger is better.
They want to show, the best.
So if you're in a restaurant, you sell to restaurants, I presume, so they're going to show that truffle off. People can come in and go, wow, look at the size of the Alba White truffle. It's all part of the experience, isn't it? Yeah.
In Europe, usually the medium size is what they want.
Because it's usable.
It's easier to, more flexible and more easier to handle with. Yeah.
So now, what you'll do is you're grading them for shipping.
For shipping.
And weighing.
This is a special selection, and I have to have for Los Angeles, where they want only the biggest truffles available.
For this order, they specifically want large truffle.
Over 120 grams.
Wow, okay.
there's a smell of cork, which I don't like that much, but it can be also.
What's that from?
From probably a wet soil.
Oh, really?
They stay like in a humidity.
Yeah, you can tell there's a
sort of
a cork. It is cork. You're right.
cork.
Yeah.
I don't know how to explain in a different way. It's a beautiful, beautiful truffle.
That's a beautiful truffle. Yeah. But you think if you send that, they may smell it and go, oh, that's not.
Well, this is something that we can really, a very expert nose can tell this slight
But
difference.
you wouldn't know until you cut that whether or not it's completely different inside.
Yeah, no, actually, it's a good truffle in terms of it's a fantastic shape and quality, but to me,
it's not
every
like
truffle
it's not like some of the others that we've had.
So this is a little bit of cork or something
okay.
that it's not really my favorite, but anyway. Questo è buono. This is good. Unfortunately broken.
Oak.
See. Now you can tell.
Yeah.
No? After no. But really, it's really
100%. Yeah.
It's very dark inside. Okay. There's a marmorization.
But there's a smell as well, isn't there, of that? That it's got that. It's got. I mean, when you smoke something with oak wood, you get a very different smell and taste of your food than if you smoke something with, say, hickory wood or apple. Mm-hmm. That you can. It's got the same of that smoke. Not got the smoke, of course, but it's got that same level, that same layer of flavour that you get from a smoked oak. And because I've done a lot of smoking of different types of food, for me that has the same oak smell. You can tell. Obviously, I need a little bit more practice.
This is my favorite. It's not the best in terms of shape and.
So that would be the Lin.
It's a little bit sweeter and lighter.
Yeah, you can tell
it's not that intense, but this is what I like.
That's what your preference is. Have you ever flavoured a really intense olive oil with truffle to see what it's like?
But I don't like really intense truffle oil.
Okay. I mean an intense olive oil.
Olive oil.
So really.
It competes a little bit. You know, truffle.
Is it too much for people to handle?
So best dishes are eggs, tagliolini, egg pasta. Why? Because truffle needs a neutral fatty base to be enhanced.
Okay.
If you then combine too many flavors or a very strong olive oil, it's not bad, but the truffle smell competes. It has difficulties to.
I love that competing flavour.
You do.
I absolutely love it when I have a product which has layers. It's like I like comedy that has layers. I like it to have layer after layer after layer.
I agree with you, but not when it comes to truffle.
I get that.
Truffle,
yeah.
I want to have the truffle.
You want to have truffle
on a neutral
and I understand
dish.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's nice. But for example, I love the truffles on the sea scallops, for example, the white truffle, because again, sweet, a little bit buttery, and neutral.
If you could have one dish which had truffle, and you could only ever have truffle with that one dish for the rest of your life, what would it be?
The egg.
With egg. And how would you have your egg? Poached. Really? And what, grated over the top whilst it's warm, so it gives it a bit of flavour as it comes through. Wow, that's interesting. Yeah. That's nice to know,
But my favorite when I'm home, I'm not talking about fine dining. Like and we have porcini mushroom also, where you dice porcini mushroom, then with some scallion. You do like soffritto, no? You cook into a little bit of olive oil and butter, and then you put the porcini mushroom, and then 2 eggs, a little bit Spanish style.
Fried with it?
Yes, you open the eggs, and then you have the sunny side eggs, and then you slice the truffle on top, and then you mix. So porcini, eggs, and truffle. This is my best.
That's what you make at home.
This is home. On
a Saturday afternoon after you've been truffle grading, you go home and go, that's what I'm having today. That's cool. So once you have chosen the truffles, you will then
we certify the top of the top of the harvest.
What does that involve?
Today. Well, in terms of shape, in terms of size, this is from medium to big size today. And the certification actually gives you the traceability on the product. So through this QR code, you can see the video of the truffle woodlands where we harvest the truffles.
Wow.
Now we have 5 different truffle woodlands, very close to here, to the company, in Langhe and Roero region. And you can bring this truffle at the table and
scan it.
Yes.
And you know that you've got it from an authentic place, an authentic ground.
Exactly, here in south of Piemonte, mainly Roero and Langhe region.
Yeah, I mean, when the truffles arrive for us, they always look amazing. You know, when they're wrapped like this.
This is the way we also ship with the...
It just gives you that extra level of assurity that you're getting it from somewhere amazing. And it's been looked after and cared about, and you can clearly tell that you care about your truffles.
Oh yeah, we treat them like babies.
The fact that you're still grading truffles every day, I think it says a lot. Yeah. Well, obviously we've talked about a lot of different things. We could probably talk forever about truffle. But thank you very much for having us over today. And let's hope the next year, maybe, if you're going to be around the French area in the south of France, whenever you are, tell me, because we'll cook something with truffles in the south of France.
I will bring you a chef.
Yeah, it would be fantastic. We can cook some really cool stuff. But thank you for your time, and good luck with this winter season, which is probably really getting exciting now. But thank you for having us today. Take care.
Daniel.
Nice to see you.
Grazie.